Australia is essentially a giant quarry with a massive housing bubble attached at the edge of the world. Based on every economic rulebook, this country should have failed decades ago. While the rest of the world was collapsing during the 2008 financial crisis, Australia was celebrating. For nearly 30 years, this nation literally forgot what a recession felt like, a feat unmatched by any other advanced economy in modern history. But beneath this curtain of prosperity lies a terrifying reality. Australia is now less economically complex than many developing nations and relies more on geological luck than actual innovation. In this video, we're cracking the code of the Australian miracle to understand why it hasn't failed yet, and why the era of luck might be ending forever. Predicted failure. First, let's talk about the tyranny of distance. This phrase, coined by historian Geoffrey Blainey, explains why Australia was a prime candidate for failure. Imagine an isolated continent, thousands of miles from the trade hubs of Europe and America, with a tiny population and a brutal climate. In the beginning, Australia wasn't an economic project. It was a penal colony for British convicts in 1788. Yet, a lucky turn happened. Settlers discovered the vast plains were perfect for sheep, and by 1820, the economy was riding on the sheep's back. Then came 1851, and the gold rush exploded, bringing a flood of immigrants and cash that turned Australia into one of the wealthiest societies on Earth almost overnight. Country. In 1964, Donald Horne wrote a book titled The Lucky Country. Today, Australians use that name with pride, but Horne meant it as a stinging insult. He wrote, "Australia is a lucky country run mainly by second-rate people who share its luck." His point was that Australia didn't earn its wealth through technical genius. It inherited British institutions and sat on a pile of dirt filled with minerals. However, those inclusive institutions, a professional public service, and the rule of law, are exactly what prevented the resource curse. Instead of funding coups, mining wealth-funded schools, roads, and a stable judiciary, revolution. By the 1980s, luck wasn't enough. Australia was an insular economy hiding behind high tariffs. Then came Prime Minister Bob Hawke and Treasurer Paul Keating. They made the boldest moves in the nation's history. They floated the Australian dollar in 1983, allowing it to act as an economic shock absorber. It drops when commodity prices fall, keeping exports competitive. They introduced compulsory superannuation, creating a private wealth fund that now manages over $4 trillion, effectively making Australian workers the owners of the stock market. But here is the catch. Success bred complacency. Australia is now the only advanced nation that has seen a massive decline in economic complexity. According to the Economic Complexity Index, ECI, Australia ranks 74th globally, behind many developing countries. The economy has become a glorified quarry. It digs holes, sells the dirt to China, and uses the money to buy high-tech goods it can no longer make itself. If iron ore prices crash tomorrow, Australia doesn't have a plan B. So how did they dodge the 2008 crash? Two words: China and stimulus. As the world stopped consuming, China launched a massive stimulus to build its cities, requiring endless amounts of Australian iron ore. Domestically, the Rudd government went early and went hard, sending cash directly to households and building school halls across the country to keep the construction industry alive. Australia was the only OECD nation to avoid a technical recession during that period. But this growth created a monster: the real estate bubble. By 2021, Australia's housing wealth reached $9 trillion, 4 times the national GDP. Australians are now among the most indebted people on the planet, with household debt at 112% of GDP. Because most mortgages have variable interest rates, any rate hike by the central bank immediately squeezes family budgets, turning the dream into a cost-of-living nightmare. $1 trillion gap. Did Australia squander its fortune? Compare it to Norway. Norway taxes oil and gas at 78% and put that money into a sovereign wealth fund worth nearly $2 trillion. In Australia, the government. It often gets more money from beer taxes or student loan repayments than it does from giant gas companies through the weak PRRT tax. Australia is draining its finite resources without building a permanent national wealth machine for future generations. We are now at the breaking point. Australia is currently in a per capita recession. The overall economy looks like it's growing because of record-high immigration, but the individual slice of the pie for every Australian has been shrinking for 6 consecutive quarters. And then there's the climate threat. 80% of Australia's trading partners have committed to net zero. This means the two main engines of the Australian economy, coal and gas, are facing a slow death. Australia didn't fail because it balanced structural weaknesses with world-class institutions and a timely pivot to Asia. It managed its luck brilliantly through the 80s and 90s. 1534. But relying on holes and homes is reaching its limit. 2. To survive the next century, Australia needs to move from being lucky by accident to being innovative by design, starting with its tax system, its energy transition, and its reconciliation with its First Nations people. And if you enjoyed the video, make sure to like and subscribe, and check out the channel to find more amazing and new videos.